So welcome to the Node.js Node add-on API team meeting for September 6, 2024. We'll follow our standard approach of looking at things that were in the ABI stable node repo, as well as looking at the board that we've set up recently. So let me first go to issues. While I do this, does anybody have any announcements they'd like to share? Not, I'm going to share that screen if I can find the right one. Okay. So if there's nothing new in terms of new things to announce, any things we should discuss on like the NAPI experimental, the coverage, debug testing?
I have nothing.
Okay, so then I want to flip over to, I think it's projects. Okay.
You can find the projects in the right, the left one. Yeah,
Sorry,
right of the sections. Right of the actions.
right of here? No.
And left
next to
of
the
wiki.
Between wiki
Left
and
of
Projects,
wiki.
right.
Yeah,
Okay, right. Yeah, okay. Thanks. Sometimes I'm a little
Yeah.
blind. So
it's a new
Nice.
feature.
okay, great. Let me open this. I don't know if that's big enough for everybody to see.
Yeah, sure.
Works for me. Yeah.
I think we started over here on the done side last time, which worked pretty well. I don't know if doesn't look to me like there's too much to talk about on any of those.
Yeah, mostly it's lot of dependency changes, but I think it will be less than prior because we merged a new dependable configure that will reduce the noise of the dependable pull
Okay,
request.
that's great. Okay, and I went ahead and landed this basic type. So again, Kevin, thanks for all your work on that one. That's really good to get landed. These ones that have a PR, there's things we should discuss on those two.
Yeah, I think for the buffer one, I commented on the PR that the test need more change because yeah, I commented on the PR just this morning. And for the property one, I named the property one. I'm still trying to trigger CI for the pull request, but recent days the CI is not really stable, so let's see how the CI goes.
Yeah, I know it has been hard. I know I've been resuming a lot on a few.
Yeah, people have been discussing about how to improve the CI stableness in various venues.
Yeah.
So I hope it will improve the condition.
Gabe has joined, so if we could promote him.
Thank you. Participants, there we go. Welcome, Gabriel.
Hey all.
Nope. Okay, so that covers these two. Basically, they're moving forward, but nothing like really necessarily to discuss. Vladimir, I did go through and I need more time to read more, but I made a few comments. But it's looking quite interesting to me. Like I think the base API seems pretty straightforward, and it'd be nice to have something like that. Anything you wanted to bring up on that one?
So I can thank you for the PR feedback. I'm refactoring the whole thing right now. So I hope to kind of publish like a new version either today or tomorrow. So it will be interesting if people can jump on it and look at it. So I also updated documentation because currently what you see in PR documentation I didn't touch. For pretty much whatever original author I did there, I pretty much rewrote the whole thing. I put it as part of this embedding stuff. I hope to finish before this meeting so discuss, but it's moving a little bit slower than I expected.
Yeah, it's a
But
big
technically,
thing.
idea would be like the API. We definitely can't. You see, API itself is changing too much, right? Like we don't know. Like some options will be probably retired, some options will be added. So kind of to address this concern, what I think like this API for libnode API would use some kind of a builder pattern. So idea would be like, so imagine if we have some kind of node embedding runtime, and as the first stage, we can set different parameters. So it means like we can call multiple functions until we initialized it. So this way, like in future, if we need to add additional maybe callbacks or kind of somehow to change the whole this initialization section, we can just simply add additional parameters. At some point, we say now we're initializing this runtime. So this then initialization happens. It will be effectively frozen for any changes, but now it will be effectively live. So it's something what just if when you look on this new code to pay attention to.
Okay.
So,
Okay, I think we already talked about this one, the add support for UTF-8 and Latin 1 property keys. Anything we should discuss on that one?
it's the same what Chanjon was just saying. That, we just can't land it for some reason. I
Okay,
tried
so
it.
just working to get it landed, but
Yeah.
okay. This one in terms of the to-dos, I guess they're there as ones we need to do, but aren't necessarily in progress. Don't know. So I guess by default, there's probably nothing really to discuss there. Just we've triaged it. But is there anything anybody wants to mention on those?
No, I
No, to me,
made
it
progress.
sounds like once people have finished whatever they're working on and they have free cycles and they want to do something, you just grab an item from to do. Yeah.
Yeah, they're kind of a list of we've said these are good ideas and yeah. In terms of need triage then, so group dependent updates. Okay, so that's a
Yeah, this one is particularly interesting because we have 120 people open pull requests in this report, but most
Yep.
of them are bot pull requests. So
Yep.
I'm trying to reduce the noises in this repository so that we can to be effectively monitoring this
No, I
repository.
totally appreciate that. I've been thinking like we really I was definitely thinking I wanted to do something but never have. So I really appreciate that you have fixed that up and hopefully that'll get it down to like some reasonable number.
Yeah, just being surprised by that most of the pull requests in this repository were bots.
So I'm gonna actually go ahead and I'll just land that and that'll give us a better view of what's left afterwards.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. Okay, yeah, no, that's great. I guess I'm gonna put that into, I guess
it will
it doesn't need to go
be
anywhere.
yeah,
Yep.
automatically moved to done when it's merged.
Okay, perfect. So any of these in particular that people want to bring, like have a start with?
I have the 1568 feet add support for requiring basic finalizers.
Okay. So that one I think should be in to do, right?
That sounds logical.
Or
Yeah.
even actually in progress, right? Because like you've sort of
Yeah.
tagged that you're doing that, so we might as well put it there. Okay.
Yeah. It's basically finished. It just needs a review.
Okay.
The implementation is very small. The majority of the PR is tests.
Okay, excellent. This one release V8.2, I think that's in progress too, right? Like, or there's
Yes, this is the issue creative from the release, please. I would like to have the require basic finalizers landed
okay.
before, because I mean, because it's to me it seems odd to introduce the basic env, and then in another
Yep.
release, yeah. And considering that the implementation is so small, it should be good.
I don't think there's any major rush or anything anyway, right? Like,
Right.
okay, so this one, I think we could move to either to do or probably in progress. Like, it seems like we think, doing a release makes sense. We're just gonna wait for that other thing, and so I'll put
Yeah.
that here. Okay. Any other easy ones? This one, I think.
It's just opened because the merged configuration
Right,
changed.
okay. So this was just created, right? Okay.
1
Yeah.
minute ago, yeah.
Right, okay, perfect. So if that takes it down, although we probably have to go and close out a bunch of the other PRs, is that right?
Yeah, I can do it and review it after
Okay.
the call because
I think
there are so many of them.
it
So
might
I'm
have
gonna put that.
closed some of them because it used to be at 120 and now it's at 115. So some of them were closed, but some are still open.
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
take a second look.
Okay. So I'll just put that in the to do in terms of,
Yeah, sure.
or
Mhm.
even like if you're gonna, yeah, we'll put in to do and then that we should probably do pretty, okay.
This, oh yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, that one, is there anything? This one is, I guess this is just the ESLint one. Okay.
Yeah, I checked that the ESLint config semi standard is not compatible with ESLint 9. So we
Okay.
probably need to abandon semi-standard config because it's not active for a while, or
Okay.
it need manual interfere.
Okay. So is this going to, like, is this going to mean we can't land these updates at all? Because ESLint is going to,
We can push to the branch of the dependent bot to fix up the failure.
okay.
But right now, because the pure dependencies conflict, the cell cannot build anymore with
Right.
this
Okay.
change. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll leave that in needs triage, or I guess it's kind of a to do, right?
Yeah. Sounds
Okay.
good.
And then this one, okay, so this is another, it's creating a few, right? Okay, it's actually closing a bunch. So
Right, now it's at 83.
okay.
Good work.
Okay, well, no, that's good. We'll put that in the two, and that's obviously
That one
making a
is
big
new.
difference already, so that's really good.
Yeah. This issue here, 1575 is new. It came in recently.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we probably need to add. I was thinking that this is a similar problem I commented on Kevin's pull request. Maybe we should define a preset of the configurations we have. Like we have so many so many checks with macros. So probably we can define a preset that enables the most strict type check in our tests, so that we can cover most of these checks and discover bugs early. So maybe I can take a look at this.
Okay, mention. Okay, that we should add testing with the multi-split options. Okay, so that's good.
To me, it sounds like even if we did implement this, like recommended options, whatever, the underlying issue that this person is still reporting may still be there, right? Because they're saying if you define type check
Yeah.
one as, and then so it seemed like I do like this idea of most recommended whatever's, but I think his issue would still remain even if we did do
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I mean, the test won't fix this issue. It's just that help us to discover such issues early.
Okay.
Yeah, and it would be nice to have like a failing test and see it pass afterwards. It's a good way to like fix this and make sure it doesn't like we don't regress it at some point.
Right.
Okay, function reference using debug. This one is
Yeah, that's the one I reported a while ago and is just waiting.
right. Okay.
Because we were like, we don't know if there's a node debug build that we could find. Or maybe we'd have to change our CI to build it or something. I don't know. That's sort of, we just discussed it, but it's waiting to be worked on.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So that's kind of a in the to column, I think, right?
Yeah, I would
We
agree.
need to do something, but we haven't, nobody's jumped up to do it yet. This one, instance method does not accept it. Function.
Hmm.
Yeah, so this one is not new, but also no answers.
I definitely remember seeing this, and I thought this is no, I've not seen this. Okay, I'm mixing this with something else.
Instance method does not accept a function returning nappy object.
I thought I feel like we did discuss this because we were like, yeah, you have to return a value, not an object. I vaguely remember talking about that somewhere, but maybe we just didn't write anything down or
Yeah, I recall that we don't have conclusions at that time.
okay. So maybe this is just something that we have to, somebody can maybe pick up to look at.
Okay, so we can put that in the, yeah, so let's put it in the to do.
I guess the question, what do we want to do? Like in case if somebody says, like, I would like to return object, we know that underlying API always returns an API value. We don't have in C API object effectively. Do we want to kind of try to cast it? And if
I
cast,
would, I mean, I was thinking that like if we have the limitation that it has to be a value, the to do could be just commenting on the post saying it has to be a value, and then it sort of answers the question, maybe like because I didn't read all the questions, but like the to do could just be answering the questions. But also like if we figure while we're answering the questions, we see that, oh, maybe there is something that we could change, then I would bring it up for discussion with the group. That's how I would approach this. And I have some free cycles now that my PRs are out. So you can, if you want to assign this one to me, I'll take a look.
Okay, sounds great. Where is that? Is
The top one.
this top one? Sure, I will.
Mhm. Yep. Excellent.
Good, and I will, should I move it in progress then?
Yeah,
Okay, perfect.
because I'll look at it after this.
This one I think is new. Suggestion on looking at the V8 Fast API.
it's something what we discussed a few weeks ago. I was telling that I'm gonna kind of prototype it or something. I didn't do much progress there.
Okay,
it's
so you're
great
thinking of
suggestion.
taking a look at it?
Yeah, like idea like we need to design it in a way that it will be kind of compatible. Maybe like other versions.
Yeah, we want to make sure that, yeah, okay, so I'll let you, if you're going to take a look, I'll assign it to you.
It was something like I remember we can discuss at some point that currently like this fast API requires you kind of two different functions, and I see like lately they're changing this API, this V8 API, you know, it's
And then this one.
This
Well,
one
I
is
think this is not specific to Node.js, I suppose, because there are so many structures involved that are non-related to Node.js. I believe it's labeled as Node.js because there are some Node.js functions in the stack, but
Right.
it's more like memory corruption.
Right, okay.
So yeah, I was trying to reproduce it locally, but I didn't successfully reproduce it. So maybe I will just watch it
Okay,
and see how it goes.
okay. So we'll just leave it there in the triage section for now and
Yeah.
see how that goes. Okay. This one I'm gonna put in the to-do as would like to do that. It's just haven't done it. This one, I don't know in terms of,
There's no progress in that one.
yeah, so that one's kind of like a to-do as well. Formatting inconsistency.
I have not looked into this at all. I think we discussed checking what core does.
Right. Okay, so it's just a matter of, so in terms of, it doesn't need triage, it's just a to-do really, right?
Yeah, maybe when the next documentation gets made, like the next feature gets added or something. I don't know.
We can think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Expose faster create objects with properties.
It's something what we discussed like also a couple of years ago, and it was proposal that how new APIs, and effectively, if you look on the list of proposed APIs, some of them being actually implemented by, sorry, I forgot the name, like, but some of these APIs like to create this internalized strings and stuff. It's
Yeah.
effectively outlined in this kind of discussion before. So in some sense, we moving towards implementing this feature request. It's not all features implemented yet.
Okay. So should we just put it in to do still or?
Yeah, it should be in to do. Like I think it's
Okay.
maybe somebody else can look at it and add additional features. But ideally, one of the kind of API which was originally discussed in this kind of proposal, I believe we need to add additional API inside of V8 itself.
Okay.
It's probably much. It's a route I didn't take yet. What it means
Right.
to kind of add features to V8. I remember Shane John gave me some suggestions at this point. At that point, but
Okay, so generally, yeah, some work related but not finished. This drive towards full coverage. I guess that's still a to-do then, like,
There's a couple of like general outstanding coverage things. One was the experimental, which we just talked about and moved over. This one, there's also like the possibility that coverages are being overridden because we're using like sub-processes and it's file system based where we put the coverage, so it could be overridden some way. So it's just
right.
in general like an investigation that needs to be done still.
Okay. So I'll leave that as like there's still, yeah, still things to be done.
And I will put that comment of what I just
Yeah,
said.
okay, yeah. If you got the list, that would be perfect.
Maybe
And I think this one we have discussed, it's really just a to-do. And then add symbol invisible to get own property symbol.
it was all discussion being closed. But recently was some activity, and I just kind of added to this. I
Okay,
responded to author. I don't know. It's maybe worth us to discuss if we want to do anything here or not. In my
right.
opinion, we already have an API wrap. Was wondering. It probably can be implemented in any JavaScript engine.
Right. Yeah, I guess it's worth like, are we gonna ever do anything?
In my opinion, we don't need to do anything. But we really need to kind of probably hear from original author of this feature. We closed it, but we never had it back.
Right, okay. So I see. So it is closed. Okay. Um,
Kind
As
of
you
simple.
commented.
Yeah, I was just adding it to the board. If we concluded that we don't have any actions right now, we can just maybe move it to done.
I was just wondering if we want to discuss anything here. If not, yeah, it's done.
Yeah, I don't have any suggestions. It sounds like you've sort of given them a way forward and the issue's closed. So unless,
Do you know, like, if somebody implements Node API on top of SpiderMonkey? Because I'm not aware about such implementation at all.
I don't know that anybody does today.
I remember many years ago I was considering SpiderMonkey for our internal Microsoft use, but I found that the license is not something what the license is not so good for us. So I kind of completely excluded from my list of possible JavaScript engines.
Right, okay. There is still Spider Node, but when was the last time that was updated? 7 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, I'll be glad to contribute any other kind of Node API implementation or any other JavaScript engine, but this is probably the only engine I can't touch because of legal issues.
Right, okay.
Because of their license, effectively.
Yeah. Okay, well, it sounds like we're okay with just moving that to done.
I'm careful.
Okay, that's good. And I think that's the board. Now I did want to go back to
So should we move this needs triage one to do as well, like, about this memory issue?
Oh, this one,
I don't
right?
think
Okay.
there's anything we can do with regarding this one.
Get rid of it.
If there's nothing we can do, should we remove it from the board?
Right.
I think the suggestion was we just sort of watch it,
To watch.
like, and so we
Yeah.
could leave it in the triage for a few weeks and see, does it progress? If not, or like, does it progress and somehow seem more likely to be Node API versus just something general? And
Right, okay. But I like keeping it in needs triage because it's easy to find
yeah,
so
yeah,
far.
like, well, like, okay, next week, anything new? Anything next week? No, because like, I can kind of see that like the to-do ones are probably ones that like, unless somebody has something, we should just say like, we looked at it. Yeah, it's something we think we should do, but like not necessarily anybody's doing it. The in progress ones are ones people are actually working on and might have updates. PRs are like, yeah, okay, there's actual PR ones.
Mhm.
The
Makes
only thing
sense.
I wanted to go back to was node.js slash node was I didn't look at the issue stale one, which I probably should have just.
Maybe we can.
I remember
go to
like,
it.
yeah, so this one was added here. So I just wanted to see if there were any others, but
Yeah, this is the one we just discussed.
okay. And we were okay with leaving that as closed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also looked at the issue while we were talking, and it seems to me like we just need to get an answer from this person, like did object wrap work for them or not? And I don't see that answer there.
Yeah, it's what
Right.
exactly I went through this discussion. It's my
Yeah.
question. It'd be nice to hear.
Okay, well, we could leave it on here in terms of like, do we see an answer to the question at some point or not before we leave
The
it off?
project will move the reopened issue to need charge, so it's automatically, so we don't need to do anything if we want to keep an eye on it.
Yeah, it may happen like they can't comment because it's closed, right? It's your point, right?
Okay, so do we want to reopen it then? And
I mean, if the author reopen the issue, it will be moved back.
right, okay. I see. So they can actually reopen it, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe like we could say, how about that?
It should be at Kang's, because Kang's is the original poster.
Right. Okay.
No, other way around. So I think you want to address this comment to Kang's,
Right.
right?
Right.
Yeah, I made a suggestion for object wrap. Vladimir made a suggestion for an API wrap.
Yeah, the same like C++. You just see, I think.
Exactly right.
Page.
Same solution.
So maybe we'll say that.
Yeah.
And then basically we can say, okay, let's consider that resolved in terms of we're okay with it being closed unless they respond and say, wait a second, doesn't resolve this for us.
We should remove it then from the sale issues list.
Right, yeah, exactly. And I think that makes sense given if we're comfortable.
There was actually an additional suggestion there to use weak map. So there are like 3 different suggestions proposed and no answer back for to either of them.
Okay, so I will just remove that.
Maybe we can close the station issue to migrate to the board.
Sorry, say that again.
I mean, close this issue and migrate to the project board.
I would like that so that we don't have, so everything is on the board and we don't have to come to this
Right.
additional thing.
So we could add a new, like a new label, maybe?
Well, I think the reason stale issues became a thing was because we might have lost track of them and we didn't see them and we just didn't interact and then it became stale. Now the issues will show up on this board, so I don't think they would ever really become stale, you know?
But we have the stale bot that closes them, right? So like it's they get closed, so that I think they would go to done in the board.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
If
And
we're,
we might not
yeah.
look at, like, as that list grows, I'm not sure we would notice them. So it's kind of like we used it as like this was stale, but you know, maybe we should pay attention to it again.
And if
And
that were the case, it would now show up on either needs triage. Yeah, that's where it would show, right? Because so say an issue comes in, we don't look at it, and then eventually it becomes stale and it gets a stale label, and then eventually it would go get closed and marked as done. It should never get a stale label because we'll be looking at it from the need triage section. Does that make sense?
But I don't think we would it? Like, maybe? Like, but what if we put it into to do and eventually it gets closed because it's been there for so long?
Then that's an issue with our process because we would like the issue has been open for so long with no comments or no nothing, or we just add the never stale label and then it would be fine, you know?
Right, but I think it's been good to look at the ones that we thought were stale separately from the whole list,
Okay.
so, but I think we could still put it into the board, like maybe we add a stale column. And like what we did before is like we said, okay, we removed the stale and then we tagged them onto here and it was like a list that we reviewed. If we put like I don't know if this board could drive off a different label, which is like, stale list or something, right? Or
I can take a look on that because I believe it can filter issues with specific labels.
because I think that would be, yeah, it would be nice, you're right, to just use this versus having that separate issue. But yeah, so if it was basically like, okay, reopen it, remove the stale thing, and then put on a new one, which is like, okay, this is like we could just call it stale or like a stale review or something, or I don't know what makes sense, but
Since an issue can only be in one section, if we have a section that's like stale or whatever, and then somebody starts working on it, we're gonna move it to in progress, right?
I think that's okay then. Yeah.
So then it's almost as if we don't need a stale column because it would be moved to in progress. Unless I'm missing something.
Yeah. Would you mind checking to the stale list I created? It's under the title, the fourth item, the stale list. Beam
Uh-huh.
capacity, my items, and the stale list. It's
Sorry,
just left of the new view button.
It's a tab.
Okay,
Just
sorry,
a little bit
where do I need to
about
go?
the list. A little bit about the list.
So above here, stale list, right? Okay,
Yeah, right.
right.
So yeah, here we can
This looks
filter out
good.
all the items in the board that have stale label. So when new issue comes in, they will be automatically added to the board, and somehow if they are labeled with stale, and it will pop up in this list.
Okay.
I like this.
And I see. So basically, like, then if we remove the stale,
And it will disappear from the list.
right?
And then if
But
for
we
some
can,
reason somebody is working on it for months on a time with no activity and we don't discuss it or anything, the stale label would come back and it would come back on this list and then we discuss it and then remove the stale.
Right. So I'm just thinking through the process. So like the stale bot will close it. If we remove the stale but leave it closed, then it goes away, right? Like, because there'll be some here where we're like, we're completely okay with it being closed because even though it's stale, right? Like, yeah, that's the right thing to do. Okay. And so we'll just basically remove the stale thing, leave it done. Okay, we're good to go, right? Otherwise, we can, if we're like, oh no, we need to do something with that, we can leave it as done. Let's see. We would want to reopen it, I think.
We would remove the stale label
yeah,
and put it in the correct column of to do in progress.
yeah. And wait a second. I'm going to post a link in the chat. These are all the workflows for this project.
Ooh.
So like, yeah, when Atom added to the project or Atom reopened, they will automatically be moved between the lists, like in the triage or to do. So we won't lose track of issues reopened if they are stale and we decided to take a look on it.
Right, so it'll go back, like if we reopen it, it will go to needs triage, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, and then we'll probably, so when we review the needs triage, we'll basically want to say if something was stale, we may not want to just move it to do, right? We might want to leave it in needs
Yeah.
triage so that like we've already moved it once into do and ignored it for a long time. So let's leave it in needs triage. And so each week we would look at it. Okay. Yeah, that sounds like a good way to go.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think then that takes us to the end of the things we had to discuss. Is there anything else that people have to bring up or for us to dive into?
I have nothing.
Okay, if not, well, thanks everybody for your time and we will see you in GitHub and next time.
All right, talk to you later.
thank you. See you
Okay,
next
thanks.
time.
Bye.